Sebastien Tremblay and his Turcotte Performance Kawasaki dominated the first round of the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Championship, making it look easy in the process. Now, at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, he's looking to get a step closer to that elusive #1 plate. Can anyone catch the shaker? Hello everyone and welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and round 2 of the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike National Championships.
And let's see if Sebastien Tremblay can make it 2 for 2.
The Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike National Championships are presented by Mopar, Joe Rocket, and USA Battery.
Just about ideal conditions here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for the first big race of the weekend at a venue that's very popular. And how popular, Frank? Well, we have a very big grid of Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike as we look at the second half of the field. Their biggest grid for probably 15 years, which is a very encouraging sign. Lots of regional racers coming up. And there we look at the front. We have Tremblay from Dion making his pro debut. Vieira and David McKay. Of course, McKay is a sore regular at Grand Bend. Let's get an update from Hannah in our hot pit.
Sebastien Tremblay is a points leader for Pro Sport Bike racing this weekend, looking to achieve his first national championship win. Not only is he racing Pro Sport Bike this weekend, he's also racing Superbike with the intention to explore the possibility of going full-time with Superbike racing in the 2022 season.
Thanks, Hannah. We are now down on the starting light. The IBEW lights are coming on. Of course, when those lights are extinguished, the clutches will be out and the field will be away. They've gone black and we are away and running. A bit of a wheel stand there for David McKay on the Kawasaki, and that may have cost him. And guess who's gone into the race lead? The shaker.
And this is what nobody wants to see. The ambition usually in this class is just to try and get established amongst the front runners, but when Tremblay's involved, he is going to try and get away as fast as he can. And of course, he's got other races he has to ride in. He doesn't want this to be any harder than necessary. And after 2 turns, that's a pretty good lead he has over McKay and Vieira.
Indeed, and he heads up in towards turn number 3 just now, working away from 3. That's Quebec corner. We're on board with David McKay on the Fast Company Kawasaki in chase. But again, a very large and early lead here. I think that's Vieira running in 3rd spot, and if I'm not mistaken, that's Trevor Dion now in 4th place.
Dion is pro debut with the series. Last time we saw him 2 years ago, he was a star in amateur lightweight sport bike. So big transition there, and I think Louis Rafa on his Honda CBR 600 RR is in 5th place. We know that that is a fast motorcycle.
This Turcotte Performance Kawasaki that Sebastien Tremblay is riding is a rocket ship. That thing pulled away from the rest of the group up that hill. Unbelievable.
And I feel like I got to go to bat for Seb a little bit because it's fast, but he can ride it. Like him on that bike is something special. We've known this for a couple of years now, and he has been so consistent in his efforts over the past few seasons aboard that Turcotte Performance bike, and it is well-tuned.
The other thing that's been consistent in Sebastien Tremblay's career, Colin, is bad luck. You and I have both seen it, and luck that he simply does not deserve. He's a good guy.
And that's almost 2 seconds now ahead of Vieira. That is an awesome first lap, but this battle for second, Vieira for McKay from Dion, and then so that's Leclerc on the Yamaha rookie pro, and 2 rookie pros showing so well here.
Gotta love the style of Leclerc as we watch Vieira lead Dion now. Dion getting past David McKay, and McKay trying to make a comeback now. We're on board right now with the LDS Consultants Kawasaki of Trevor Dion. He keeps David McKay at bay as they headed down into Mosses.
And now we've got a replay coming up, and here is the move at the bottom of 2, and Dion showing lots of ambition on McKay. And you got to be careful here because you tend to run out of room on that move, but he did complete the pass quite late, but nice move by Dion. Again, Dion's first time running at the front in pro action in his first full pro season.
Well, I watched that replay carefully. His elbow, Colin, was just millimeters off the track surface. Vieira now a little bit stronger in second as he's getting a bit of distance from the from the pack. But speaking of distance, look at Tremblay, or try to look at Tremblay. He's gone completely out of the scene now. And Jake Leclerc has gathered up David McKay.
Yeah, Leclerc, the Yamaha protege, right ahead of McKay, who's been running near the front in this class for a couple of seasons. So interesting story. Of course, Vieira, who's holding second at this point, I believe this is his 4th year with us, and there's a guy who's had nothing but bad luck, crashes, mechanical issues. And last season, we saw a little bit of the form we expected him to have. He came here from Guyana with a very strong reputation for being an aggressive racer.
Dion really putting pressure on Vieira. I had given Vieira a bit of a gap last lap around, but Dion has gobbled that up now and is right on him. Now we're on board once more with Trevor Dion, and we're chasing Vieira down turn number 2. There's a very short shoot to, sorry, come down now number 4. I got caught out on that before. My apologies on that, Colin. Vieira now through into turn number 5. That's Moss's corner. Here we go on the run up the hill.
See if we got any horsepower heroes on the Dynojet uphill back straight, Frank, because this is a preview of what performance is going to be about. Dion in the draft of Vieira's Yamaha, Kawasaki versus Yamaha. We'll be back to see the outcome of this part of the duel from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Closed captioning of this broadcast is brought to you in part by Goderich Toyota, Traction Heavy Duty Parts, MotorcycleCourse.com, and Revs for Rent, CSBK's official charity. Second place rider Elliot Vieira, he's on the white bike. Trevor Dion is on the blue bike in behind him, and Jake Leclerc running in 4th spot. There's the I was going to say the top 3, of course, but the Turcotte Performance rider Tremblay is long gone. And Vieira now will get the first shot at the squirt up in towards turn number 3, but it is Dion now moves to the inside, and he snatches that position away from Vieira. So Trevor Dion now moving up into 2nd spot. Vieira into 3rd, Leclerc back and 4th.
On board with Vieira, and he is not waiting to try Dion on the inside. Look at that, what a move at the top of the chute. And look, Frank, just behind this, the next group have towed their way up, led by Massey, who came from behind to do very well at our Calabogie opener.
Exactly, he worked his way up from way back to get onto the podium at Calabogie and found himself somewhat overcome when he got there. Riders are now heading up. There we get a shot of Sebastien Tremblay. Finally, there's Vieira, Dion, Leclerc, and then McKay.
And then Rafa just passed Massey, so lots going on here, and you could argue that everybody in this shot, which goes back to 8th place, is in this dispute for 2nd.
Louis Rafa on the Honda. I think he is the only Honda in the field, if I'm not mistaken, but I should check with number 110, Jamie Plech, because I think he was riding a Honda as well.
Yeah, so Plech now moving into the top 10. He had a crash in practice, another star in the Grand Bend Series, and he is marching forward. He was really good here in the rain a year ago, so good to see Plech doing well. Gotta mention Christian Allard, who was almost a winner here a year ago, was on the podium at our last round. He had a transmission issue and did not start this race.
Tough break for Allard. He is definitely one of the riders that can take it to Tremblay at times. Vieira still holding on to 2nd spot. There's Vieira, or there's Dion rather, and that group, as you mentioned, of Massey and company now very much a part of this conversation. We're looking back from David McKay's Kawasaki at the Yamaha of Jake Leclerc.
Leclerc in 5th place, showing lots of form. Of course, this was expected. He was a rocket coming through the lower ranks of amateur competition. He's battling with McKay, and we spoke to McKay about racing here at Mosport.
I love this track. It's fantastic. Everybody likes to come out of the woodworks to ride Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and it's always, you got to wrap your head around the speed of this track. I think you got to take a couple sessions just purely to get back into it, because it's so different than a lot of the tracks we ride. I'm used to Grand Bend, which is a little more stop and go, a lot of hard braking, whereas this track is just throttle.
On board with David McKay right now, as a matter of fact, and we are running in 4th spot, and that is Trevor Dion. Oh, here comes Jake Leclerc. Leclerc has displaced McKay back into fourth spot now. Make that fifth overall, rather. Fourth spot on our screen because I keep forgetting that Tremblay is in this race.
And what's impressive is Leclerc has his fairing coming loose. If you look down low on the right side of the bike, one of the panels is opening up at high speed, and that's got to be hurting his aerodynamics.
I saw it. Yeah, I saw that just as he tipped it into one there. Good eye.
And look at Pletch continues his march up through the pack. He's up to 8th on that Honda. Very strong performance by Pletch.
Rafa running in 6th spot on the Honda, just ahead of Lavillon on the 176 machine, another one of those Quebec stars who have tended to dominate in this sport bike class. As Dion looks to the inside of Vieira, nothing to be had there just now. Leclerc very tight coming out of turn number 3. We'll see whether that manifests itself in anything. He should be coming up on the right-hand side of Trevor Dion. No, he didn't. He stays in his wheel tracks. Meanwhile, David McKay sits back, comfortably back in 5th spot overall. He'll be looking for a toe up the back straight, Colin.
Everybody looking quite tidy there of our first group. The second group were side by side in Moss, which is not going to help your trip up the back straight. So everybody concentrating on the draft, trying to get everybody tucked in behind the bike in front. Well, watch that panel on Leclerc's bike. It is coming loose. And what's amazing is even with the bad aero, he is powering past.
And he did get past. Oh, Dion into a wobble there. I'm not sure what brought that on, but he definitely had the headstock going a little bit wobbly.
And here we go back on board. Look at that. We have a good look at Leclerc's bike with the loose fairing, and I kind of wonder if the wash coming off that Yamaha had effect on the Kawasaki of Dion. You can see it shaking its head, and that's at terminal velocity in 6th gear. That's got to be exciting.
Well, I can't help but wonder if we might see a black flag on this, Colin, if one of the CSBK officials determined that that is an unsafe situation on Jake Leclerc's Yamaha. So that is a situation that we will keep an eye on. And now we watch Leclerc chasing Vieira down into turn number 1. We'll be right back. We are back now here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park with the Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike National Championship Final. Watching Vieira now down into turn number 1. Jake Leclerc looking out to the outside of Vieira. Nothing to be had there, but he is exactly side by side with Trevor Dion as they approach turn number 2. Now he has been shunted back into 4th overall, 3rd in the group.
And we're halfway, Frank, but I guarantee you none of these guys, oh, what a move there by Dion for 2nd. But none of these guys know the lap count because they are completely preoccupied with them. Look at this back shot from on board with Dion. Nothing but crazy, young, aggressive riders who want to be in the podium at Old Mo Sport.
And Vieira concentrating on Dion now here. Leclerc, who has been up a couple of positions, and he's not going to like being back in that 4th position overall. 3rd in this group, as again, Tremblay long gone.
And look just behind McKay. There is some action going on there with Rafa and Lavillon. And also worth mentioning, Pletch has climbed up to 8th on that Honda after starting near the back from his practice crash. And we are looking at a juggling of the order at the front.
Vieira over Leclerc and Dion. They're running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Let's look at our replay, Frank, and we're looking back at Vieira, and this Yamaha R6 is a fast one. It looks like the Yamaha passing lane, because there goes Leclerc. He's in the slipstream of the first Yamaha, and these two go by that pale blue Kawasaki. What's great, it's very easy to tell these 3 motorcycles apart, and all of them very well ridden by some impressive young talent.
What would Dion be thinking at that point? Would that take the wind out of his sails, Colin?
Just a little bit. He'd feel it in the tack. Let's hear more about Trevor from Hannah.
Trevor Dion qualified 2nd yesterday, and this is the first time we're seeing him, as this is his first Pro Sport Bike National Championship race. In 2019, we did see him win the lightweight class at Calabogie. So he's a great rider, and we'll see what happens.
See what happens definitely describes what we're watching here, this incredible fight for 2nd, and just behind it, a fight for 6th, I believe. And I have no idea what's going to happen here, but there you caught it for a second. Leclerc doing that Euro leg dangle. We haven't seen that in a long time. Jordan Soak used to do it. Back on board in 4th place, which, by the way, is off the podium, Frank. Important to consider this. They all know Tremblay's way ahead, but they want to be on the box with the master.
Dion looks to the inside of Leclerc. Leclerc doing the dangle, leaving no room there at all. Leclerc is also getting very close to putting his elbow on the track surface, and he's become very used to that with that hang off the motorcycle style that he has perfected. Take note also that Rafa seems to have won that battle between himself and Vincent Lavion. Louis Rafa on the Honda running in 6th spot just now.
And I feel like those two at the back of this shot, if they would just work together a little bit more, could join this discussion over 2nd place, which of course is what we need, is even more guys trying for the podium. Because look at that, the Rafa is just barely off the draft at this point.
Rafa coming out of turn number 8 as our race leader. Vieira out of turn 10, and Leclerc rather has moved up into 2nd spot now ahead of Dion. So Jake Leclerc is the man on the move right now. He has moved past Dion and he has gone in search of Vieira, and he got a good squirt out of turn number 1 there. Up over the hill they go, and Dion moves to the inside. What an excellent move by Trevor Dion now as Leclerc gets it put back in his face.
And let's watch this. This is straight up the classic Jordan Zoke pass that we've seen so many times. He commits to the wide line. He doesn't go down low. He doesn't hold it inside. He drives the whole way up the hill. There used to be a huge bump here, but they repaved, and it's a nice smooth pass. If you know, if turn 1 works, then turn 2's easy, but you don't know when you commit to it.
Dion did the homework on that one. Oh man, I thought he was going to take a dive in on Vieira there, but Dion obviously knew there was no bump there this time around, and he made a beautiful pass on Leclerc, and now Vieira and Dion are starting to get just a bit of distance there, but it's quickly eaten up, of course, in the draft as we watched the shaker go by just before that. He's completely out of sight now as the battle now involving 6 riders rather, and there's only 2 positions that matter.
So Vieira showing very well, holding a solid 2nd with lots of people in his slipstream on that Snow City Cycle, Brooklyn Cycle Racing Yamaha, and the others seem willing at this juncture to follow, but we have 4 laps left right at the line here, and the pressure's going to mount and moves are going to start happening when we return for our thrilling completion here at Old Mosport Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
The 2021 Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike National Championship is presented by Mopar, Joe Rocket, and Yuasa Battery. Back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Vieira leading Dion and Leclerc and McKay. Those 4 riders are fighting for the final 2 podium spots. We're going to figure that Turcotte Performance rider Sebastien Tremblay, beautiful move by Dion there through turn 2. Again, picture perfect, Colin.
Yeah, Dion really has that Zoke move working, maybe better than Zoke does at the moment.
Wow.
And finally, a little bit of a wider line there in 3, not so defensive. So I feel like if you're wondering if someone's changed their plan a bit and start showing a few of their cards, it's Dion.
Well, when he was coming out of 3, I thought he was sending an invitation out to Vieira, but as it turns out, not quite that way at all. And if I'm not mistaken, are we coming up on lap traffic? Yes, we are. Up on lap traffic now, and Dion's going to be the first one to them. Oh, to see the wheelie by Jake Leclerc coming out of 5C there, had the front wheel on that Yamaha R6 searching for the air.
Well, the one thing we can say about these 4 guys is none of them are in the least bit flamboyant in their riding style. It's so
Look
so
at this.
good.
Oh, the lapper split by 2 as Dion went on one side and Vieira went on the other. Wow, what an exciting ride for him. Leclerc got dragged through as well, so that's all clear and good. But McKay did not. McKay has suffered as a result of that. You can see it now. It has become a 3-horse battle for those final 2 podium spots unless McKay can possibly make up that distance.
And Rafa and Lavalin, who of course have been just at the back of this conversation, also kind of got held up in the same manner as McKay. Whoa, what a crazy moment there for Dion. Way wide in one, sliding both ends.
And Vieira should have been able to take over that position. No, he hasn't. Dion still holds him off. I don't know what went on to Dion. A bit of a brain fade, whatever it was, almost cost him 1 position. And now it has cost him as Vieira grabs it from the inside. He dove in there and took it away. And now Vieira goes wide. Here comes Dion after Vieira. We're on board with Vieira right now, and we are looking back at Trevor Dion on the number 20 machine as he is on the hunt. And he is now moving on the inside of Vieira, taking over that position once more. What a fist fight for first. Vieira comes back again. He drags McKay along, or Leclerc rather. Leclerc and McKay almost colliding at the the exit of 5 hole. He jumped up, Colin, give me nails.
So let's watch this again. We're on board with Dion, and boy, does it get exciting. Bold move on the inside here as he heads up on the brakes, but he's just too hot. He's now past the old curb onto the old pavement. He chooses to duck in, which is a huge risk. Then you watch here. Does he ever get in the way? And look at that. Leclerc had the time to signal that he was displeased because, of course, these bikes have rear-view mirrors.
Good Lord, now
Frank, they don't have rear-view mirrors.
We are now back to the live action here as we are on working lap number 12 of 14. 2 laps to go, and we're up into slower traffic now. Vieira gets by cleanly, as does Dion, as does Leclerc. Okay, they're away, but again, McKay, similar to what we saw down at Moss's, but McKay got caught up just a bit.
And may I point out that was a right-hand corner that they managed to get through without any drama, because the last few have not gone smoothly here, and this is where the action really got heated a lap ago, when Vieira paused for a second and then decided he had to go after Dion, and I think that the lap time pace has upped considerably in the last 2 laps.
Vieira got a really good squirt from turn number 3 up towards the top of the hill there, brings him down number 4, and we sometimes forget just how steep that fall is down through turn 4.
Well, that time Dion didn't exploit the extra pavement from back in the 60s, so that was good, a little smoother, and look at that, Leclerc is just perfectly timed on the draft on Dion, and he pulled out really early. You can see that fairing continues to be, oh, did you see that,
We've
Frank?
gone to a red flag now, Colin.
Yeah, something has happened.
Red flag is out.
Which is a real shame, because obviously it's an important issue and we have to deal with it, but this race was so good at the front. That
is most unfortunate. It looked like Vieira was starting to get a little bit of distance. It looked like he had some horsepower working for him.
Yeah, it was going to be a really interesting opportunity to see how this played out, because everybody involved in that dispute for second was very, very hungry. So we'll see how, when we go back a lap in terms of scoring, how this plays out. There, of course, is Sebastien Tremblay, and the one thing we know for sure is he won that race on the Turcotte Performance Kawasaki.
Did he ever? What a performance.
Here we are looking at 11th and on, and it was Mike Grass who winds up stopping the race with an incident in turn 2. Now we look at our winners, Vieira in second from Dion, because we reverted scoring. Leclerc and McKay were part of that excellent battle for second place that entertained us throughout.
Today's race, it was really good. This is my first time battling with these guys. You know, they're the fastest guys in Canada. I'm from the Assor Race Series down in Grand Bend, and I've raced a few of them here. Me and Elliot had a really good race there. It was back and forth. This is my first CSBK national event on a 600, so it's definitely a big change on what I'm used to, because I didn't end up getting to run the amateur last year, but turning pro in the regional series, I definitely pushed myself to race with the fast guys here today.
Well, I was able to break the draft on the first lap, and then I tried to pull away. Around 5 second gap, I tried to stay there, and it worked out pretty well for the rest of the race.
Fantastic. And it was hot and humid yesterday with qualifying. It's a bit cooler today. How did that affect your performance?
Well, the bike were making a lot more power. Unfortunately, we had there was a lot of wind on the back straightaway, so it was kind of weird. We didn't have to really brake, but we managed to get around pretty quick.
And as we look at our podium, sad news that Elliot Vieira registered very high on the official series DynoJet dyno and is disqualified from this event, moving everybody else up in Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike. As we look at the points, what a lead for Tremblay, Frank.
A lead for Tremblay indeed. Lavillon in second spot, and Leclerc and McKay battling it out on the racetrack and also in the point standings as well. And they, of course, will be looking forward to the big payout at the end of the year from Liqui Moly Pro Sport Bike Racing. On behalf of the entire CSBK crew, thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you next time.